Welcome, dear readers, to Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. My name is Khaki.
And I'm Kay, and remember, we only judge a book by its cover. And today's book is The Unicorn Solution by John Lee. It says Unicorn Solution on mine.
I wonder what happened there.
I mean, kind of in theme with the book, but
Okay.
but we'll get to that point.
Yes. In the meantime, hold me. Let me just button up my my trench coat here.
You're getting a very hairy chest, I noticed.
In case you were wondering, yes, indeed, my nipples have moved closer to the middle. They are quite beady.
There's also more of them. Are you on things again?
Maybe it's like, oh yeah, what could I be on? Because remember how I wasn't going to do any callbacks, and I just wasn't going to acknowledge anything previously about the history except for that, which maybe I mumbled about in my delirium.
Have you been eating forbidden hot dogs?
The forbidden hot dogs? Have we talked about the forbidden hot dogs?
No, we
before?
haven't.
Oh, good. No, of course, yes. Good. No, I knew that.
The ones that grow by the duck pond? And then when you microwave them and you bite into them, you still have got a mouthful of fluff. Some people call them cattails, I think they're called.
Oh, cattails, I know. The sort of reed plants that grow by the river.
Forbidden hot dogs.
Yes. No, everyone knows about those. You bump into them when you take your dinner down to the river to gently wash it.
Yes. Is this a new habit that you've gotten
Done
into?
it all my life. Haven't we all?
Very strange. You've never mentioned it before, but I guess we're not going to be talking about callbacks.
Yes, and the opposite as well. So anything that I haven't talked about before will now become, I think that's how it works, will now become sort of a forward-going canon. Please just ignore the...
Pre-canon. Was that a thing?
Is that not just prophecy?
I suppose.
Because then you have to fulfill it.
Well, only if it's bad prophecy.
Hey, it's a new year. Let's cast prophecies on each other.
Oh, okay.
I predict that you will, prosper in the new year in good health and joy, and we'll continue with this podcast. And maybe one day we'll get to eat cotton candy.
Okay, that sounds like a very interesting and oddly specific prediction, but yes.
That's the thing with prophecies. They have to be general enough to apply to fucking everyone, and specific enough to really speak to the imagination. What's your prophecy for me?
Oh,
do me.
I see blue and green in your future.
Ooh.
And the letters LBT. No, wait, that's just what everybody chooses first in Hangman. That doesn't count. So, yes, I foresee food.
Yeah.
And lots of, for some reason, small fuzzballs. I'm not entirely sure where this is coming from. But no, not hairballs, fuzzballs. Do you have that often, coughing up hairballs?
About the normal amount.
Okay.
About the normal amount that everyone has.
I've ever coughed up a hairball in my life.
That's how many hairballs I've coughed up then.
Right,
yeah, exactly normal amount.
Okay.
If you look down at your podcasting device, you should be seeing the cover of today's book, and if not, you can check the show notes or the website for the image and the link. The website is, as always, covermyasscast.com. We're also on Cover My Ass Twitter, and we would just love to hear from you.
Yes. So, today's book, The Unicorn Solution. Since the discovery that drinking dissolved unicorns enhances magical ability, these glorious creatures have been poached to the brink of extinction, depleting the world's ambient levels of magic and exacerbating the demand. Only our young, responsible heroes stand in the way of thaumaturgical disaster.
Now, here's a story with a lot of parallels to, I would like to say, the modern condition of the world, but it has been the condition of the world for about 50 years in terms of scientific awareness of the post-industrial...
Yes, if you look at the studies that the big oil companies published in the 70s, they are pretty much exactly spot on with their temperature graphs and everything.
Yeah.
They are spot on.
Including, which sort of baffles me, that these models included the statistical likelihood of a number of major volcanic eruptions and the CO2 that
they kind of just average out.
Right?
Yeah.
But that they average out over 50 years. Geologic timescales are huge.
Yes, but volcanoes erupt with a certain amount of regularity. I mean, like I said, any one volcano doesn't, but all volcanoes together, it's pretty standard,
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a permanent underground fire somewhere in these coal fields caught fire, and they're still burning.
Those fires can just continue to go. It's just hard to imagine how does the oxygen get in? And is it not an option? I know this probably sounds horribly naive, but is there not an option to plug the holes and keep the air from coming in?
Well, to a certain degree, that works, but I mean, it's kind of like...
But then it's still hot.
So, yeah, I was going to say, it's like when you're making charcoal, it's like first you get the fire built up, and then you just basically close up the furnace and just let it, smolder. And the residual heat will still carbonize whatever is left, and, like burn off all the other components. If you start with good wood, you end up with really clean charcoal,
which is as close to graphite as you're going to get without synthesis or mining.
Yeah, it makes for really nice grilling. It's like when you were like, was it the teriyaki bookworms or was it? Oh, sorry, we weren't going to make any past references.
Well, based on evidence that I gathered, there was a lot of hoisin sauce involved.
That's traditionally more for duck than for bookworms, but...
Well, there's no ducks anymore, is there?
Well, no, thanks to the Velociraptors.
Oh, yeah, those fuckers.
Yes.
God, I hate those.
Oh, okay. What about...
I'm glad we got rid of those.
Well, I mean, I suppose they're still around. Oh, wait, got rid of those?
Didn't we?
Well...
I mean, there just weren't any Velociraptors anymore, so yes. I figured that we finally did the sensible thing, band it together and shoot them off.
Oh, okay. As far as I know, we weren't aware what happened to them, so I thought for a moment there that you thought that you had an influence on this.
Probably not. Which one did you say?
They disappeared from
yeah, they just disappeared. Yes. No, that's right. Here, hey, because this has been coming up a few times, yes. I think one of us may be having a problem with their memory, and so I've made, in the theme of this week's book, I've made us a little bookworm solution.
Oh,
I've
nice.
boiled up some bookworms.
Okay.
And I think that will, really help with your memory and just accepting reality. So it's quite a large cup, and it is very hot, but you should drink it all.
Is this going to be fine? Because you did remove the cores, right?
It is going to be.
Because my lead levels are already up a little bit.
But I boiled them very thoroughly.
So you dissolved the lead then?
It's called a solution for a reason. Just down the hatch. Come on.
I think this is more of a problem than a solution.
Yeah. Aren't they all?
All right. Okay. Here I go then.
All the way. All of it. Yep. Keep going. Ooh, good. See, now. All right. We'll do a quick test, and I'm going to show you some things that are true, but which might have been difficult for you to accept.
Okay.
Right? So one of them. So look at my face, and how would you describe my face?
You look a bit tired.
Right, a bit tired.
Yeah, like big black circles around the eyes.
Yeah, and how's the beard growth?
Oh, very good.
Yeah, right.
Good coverage. Nice little you got those little whatchamacallit, those.
Pointy, like cheek ruffs.
cheek tufts.
Yeah, or mutton chops.
Mutton chops, that's the word. Yes, those are the ones.
And I've always looked like this, haven't I, Kay?
Yeah. Well, yes, you have. You have
exactly.
Always.
So I look the same way that I always have.
You look. Yes, the way you look now is the way you have always looked. Yes.
That's right. Good. Okay, so we'll do a few more of these memory exercises, and I think they'll really help you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So and 3, 2, 1. There we go. Yeah.
Oh, that was tasty. It's kind of heavy in the stomach, but yeah, it must be the... Oh, wait, there wasn't any lead in there, was there? No, you said there wasn't.
Okay, so this is a real-life example of the kind of experience that the people in this book had when they first boiled a unicorn.
Yes. It was the, Well, okay, so we did the synopsis. We haven't talked about the cover yet.
We haven't talked about the cover, that's right.
How could we forget that? It's almost like I got hypnotized or something.
Oh.
So yes, the unicorn solution. The only solution is magic. Well, it's more like a magical solution, really.
Yes, so this cover is kind of glorious because it features only a sky and a bunch of unicorns. And gosh, what lovely creatures
they are. I think they're trying to run away. At least the ones in the back seem to be doing this whole panicky equoid thing.
Yeah, they're just viciously wonking in different directions. Oh, for that word, I have to thank a friend of the library, Ryan Campbell, whom readers at home may remember from our episode 45, Physician Whom, who wrote the fantastic short story, 6 Unbelievable Facts About Unicorns, that will totally blow your mind. It's a wonderful short story examining the various myths around unicorns in a humorous and honestly kind of terrifying fashion.
Oh, very good. What's just six facts? What
6 unbelievable facts about unicorns. And what's cool about
do you have one of the facts by hand? I'm just curious.
Well, one of them is that they're incredibly stupid.
Okay.
It starts off with our hero, who's a researcher on a secret unicorn island, a modern researcher who wakes up to the sound of unicorns screaming and what he calls wonking when his idiot unicorn Ctesias has rammed the of his house and his horn is now stuck.
Oh dear. Sounds like...
Yeah, they shit invisible goo.
It sounds really awkward.
It's really gross and terrible. And you know the myth that they can only be handled by virgins?
Yes.
So when you touch them, you become a virgin.
Oh, I mean, that would come useful in certain occasions.
It has really, really dire implications that I won't spoil for anybody. It's a nice short story, and you'll find it linked in the show notes and on covermyasscast.com. Again, thank you, Ryan Campbell. But we thank, of course, John Lee for writing the Unicorn Solution, where these majestic animals are wonking in opposite directions. I should note.
That's kind of what horses do. They kind of like scatter when there's a problem.
Yeah.
So I assume that's what's going on here. And clearly they are running away from one of the famous unicorn. Well, it's not really a cull. It's more like a hunt. Because like unicorns are notoriously difficult to breed in captivity. So they have to go into the wild and catch them there.
Poaching is, as much as it is a problem, it is really the only way. One can't, because of the virginity, one can't husband. Is that a verb? Like animal husbandry.
I suppose it is, but
so unicorn husbandry is kind of a paradox when you.
But I don't really think how that would help if the stable
like that more than
I
you
did.
Oh, what's with the stable hand?
It doesn't really matter if the stable hand's a virgin or not for the unicorns to get it on, is it?
That's maybe a direction that John Lee didn't particularly take with this otherwise wholesome. Like it seemed like young adult environmentalist fiction.
It did have some equus overtones.
Oh, did it?
What did you think?
Well, I'm sure the readers at home are as excited as I am.
You did read the book, right? You didn't watch the film adaptation.
No, I read the book. Okay. I always read the book.
Okay, no, good. Just making sure. It's not like you're doing that high school thing where you're tasked to read a book and then you go, I'll just watch the movie and then like.
Okay, that is absurd. We would never do that. We always read every letter of the book on this podcast, and I think maybe.
Yes.
No, well, maybe you need to have another pint of bookworm solution. Here you go. Here you go. Yeah,
it's too much. No.
It's fine. It's good for you. We always read the whole book, don't we?
Yes.
We always do. 3, 2, 1. There, we're back. So we begin with our team of young heroes. Now this is a flashback to the age when magic was still a sort of rare ambient thing, and it required a great deal of study to be able to perform even the simplest task, and it was kind of a mystical thing. Until I believe the innovation came from Iceland, where boiling is one of the natural causes of death.
Oh, that seems to make
has been
sense.
historically.
People falling into a hot geyser and like boiling to death. Yeah,
and that also occurred with their population of incredibly stupid unicorns who would fall in every now and again, and then
get boiled. Yeah,
and then those who drank from the water of that particular lake noticed that like there was a statistically anomalous aptitude for magic, the thaumaturgical arts. And I appreciate even in this magical world that the scientific method had taken hold enough that some scientists started actually boiling whole unicorns and drinking the resultant goop.
The thing is, the unicorn horn itself doesn't actually dissolve. So that led to the habit of looking for the hornies, where they were going out into the wild and trying to find these hot springs which had a horn floating into them. And which would then be an indication of the magical properties of this pool.
Yeah, that the rest of the unicorn had indeed dissolved in that. Flash forward several decades, where first it became kind of like a steroid-like drug that was secretly it was publicly frowned upon, but secretly consumed by magical practitioners.
There was lots of experimentation. It's like, how concentrated can you make it? It's like
microdosing unicorn solution.
Well, that too,
became
yes.
a thing.
But also, it started out with them into lakes and then in geysers, and they figured, like, okay, how big a pot do we need to dissolve a unicorn in, and can we get it more concentrated? Like, what happens if we boil it down any further? But that didn't really work very well, because it seems to be like if you then evaporate the water, like a lot of the solution evaporates out with it. It's like
I think the 7% solution was the ideal.
Yes, and like if you try to concentrate it any further, you're just like boiling off the unicorn essence as much as the water.
There was a whole thing where you were supposed to dilute it after the horse had been whipped with leather scraps.
Yeah, those were. That was the homeopathic school of thought, and
the homeopony.
School of medicine. That was
pretend medicine.
That was very good, but it led to a glut of stage magicians without any magical powers. It's like lots of card tricks.
The age
of card tricks.
So clever.
The age of sleight of hand, and like people producing lots and lots of silk handkerchiefs, which led to a bit of a cottage industry in its own right. But that's
yeah. And so the young men and women that we had seen during this flashback as a unicorn solution was gradually becoming a mainstream product that was mass produced, providing an easy source of household magic for such basics as, keeping the oven hot when you're out of wood, or having the dishes done themselves. It led to a bit of a social revolution where, because everyone could be adept as magic as long as they took a wee draft of Mummy's Little Helper or Daddy's Little Helper.
Yeah, that was the Ocean Cookie brand, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. The Ocean Cookie brand of... Oh God, I know the road we're going down. That was extremely that popularized this wonderful draft among the masses, and of course it was promoted as having incredible curative effects. That it was a cure all for whatever ailed you. Erectile dysfunction.
That was pretty much due to the wish fulfillment properties of this unicorn solution. As like a low level magic that everybody kind of has, which you take a bit of the stuff and whatever you focus on is kind of like what the low level ambient magic is going to help you solve.
I think that this is a principle of unicorns, wish fulfillment, that really comes to the fore. I was very interested in the way that these commercially sold unicorn solutions, they were all the same substance, really. It was just boiled unicorn water.
Right.
But depending on what it claimed on the label, those wishes would actually be fulfilled. Yes, your joints would ache less. Yes, you will be able to lift greater weights, just depending on whatever's on there and your belief and the sort of natural unicorn.
Yeah, basically wishful thinking. I mean, it was even used in different parts of the society, where mixing it with hydrocarbons and using it to power new forms of transportation, like the unicycle.
Yes. After several disastrous early designs was known as the suicycle for a little while there.
Well, that's how it goes.
The unicycle. That's right. Musical instruments like the hornpipe became popular.
Absolutely.
I think there's not much there. I didn't think that was a very good joke by John Lee, but he clearly did his best. But we come into this story when some people are starting to realize that there's a price to be paid for all of these wonderful, wonderful advances, because now that the once ubiquitous unicorn is dwindling and approaching extinction, just the naturally occurring abilities of people and the statistical likelihood of a person having moderate magical abilities is decreasing throughout the world.
I guess there's a lot of people relying too much on the enhancing properties of the unicorn solution and not practicing their own abilities. People getting lazy. It's it's so easy to do this because we'll just have a nipple the old corn and it's we'll be fine.
But those are the arguments of those in the unicorn solution industry, and they're saying that we promote more sensible solutions education, because the problem isn't that fewer and fewer people are born or naturally developing magical abilities. It's, as you say, it's just people are becoming slightly lazier. And if we educate ourselves better, then those will naturally restore themselves. And those are major industries like Nair GmbH and Monocerops Santo.
Oh, Monocerops?
Monocerops is like a unicorn with a...
okay. I never heard of that one before.
John Lee may have put in a P too many there. Yeah, I think it's Monoceros. Monoceros Santo.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense, yes.
Quite a lot bit more sense.
Monoceros, yeah, now it makes,
okay.
I get that. Let's call it a typo, like the unicorn solution, which is... and how the dissolved unicorns enhances magical abilities, I'm now seeing. I must have missed that one.
I hate it when books have typos on the covers. So anyway...
so a little call-out, actually. So I recently learned that, not a call-out, but a bit of advice. It's flagging typos in ebooks is a bad thing. Because it immediately starts this whole process of there are errors in this book and it must be corrected, and it has to have the author jumping through all sorts of hoops to actually correct them before their book is being flagged as deficient in some sort of way.
And it gets them a low quality rating.
That's it, yes. So don't flag typos in...
Which I guess could be appropriate for Okay, not to malign anyone, but there are ebooks out there that are self-published and unedited, and so this is one of those ones that perhaps was not held to the same standard as other self-published, self-edited, attentively
also
made books.
UK English, American English. There's color,
oh my goodness,
all kind of stuff like that. Like, oh, this is typed wrong. Like, no, it's just like different language.
Yes, it's different
English.
And it should be the Philosopher's Stone and not the Sorcerer's Stone.
Okay, so that's not, I mean, that would be hard to boil down to a typo, but...
Well, I guess there's an O in it.
I still don't understand why quite that was done. It had something to do with the...
It just seemed more magical that way, because the Philosopher's Stone was not a well-known myth,
right? Even
in the UK.
True.
So those are the opinions held by companies like Nair, GmbH and Monocerops. But countering these are several rival environmentalist outfits, such as the Rainbow Warriors,
led by Liam Neeson.
God. Yes, the second of the rival environmentalist organization is Hornpeace.
Right, yes, led by Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. And finally, there's a rather supernatural outfit, which is Captain Globe and the Globalist, led by a sort of angelic figure that comes from above.
He's kind of described as having like a bluish-green skin, isn't it?
Yes, and a giant walrus moustache and a captain's hat and anchor tattoos, but and green hair, I believe, and red spandex jockstrap, I guess. Like he doesn't seem to be wearing that much aside from his vest and pipe. And the Globalists, who all take a rather bizarre nickname. So we have Seattle Slew and Gallant Fox. Oh, I should say Seattle Slew, who stands for the element of blood.
Okay.
And Gallant Fox, who stands for the element of phlegm. And then we have Cloud Computing, who represents the element of, gosh, there was a lot of this, yellow bile. And
there was a lot of alchemy in this book, wasn't there?
There was indeed. California Chrome, standing for black bile, and finally, yes, I think it was Spectacular Bid, who stood for the fifth humor, the little-known fifth humor, jizz.
Ooh, well, that's quite humorous in its own right, but...
And by their powers combined, so each of them combined like just a drop of blood and spat some phlegm. Now the yellow and black bile, they were tougher to get to. So Cloud Computing and California Chrome, they had to take some convincing before they would summon Captain Globe.
Yes, it was a bit grim. Like it's kind of like bloodletting on a.
You have to get like way in there.
Yeah, I guess Spectacular Bid had it easier that way.
Oh yeah, he loved it.
He only needed a few minutes preparation time.
Yeah, exactly. He stubbed his toe. Oh, come on, let's go summon Captain Globe.
He got it down to 30 seconds at one point.
But yes, all of these rival environmentalists, like they observed what probably was closer to the truth, that the ambient magic of the world, with which some random people occasionally became imbued, was a consequence of the existence of these magical creatures. They imbued the world with ambient background magic.
I guess it was their invisible poops that were spreading the magic around. It's like people, you'll just like wander through them and like kind of like track it all over the place. It's kind of like, certain plants are spreading their seeds, and I guess in this way, like the magic kind of got like spread around, and it's like how people feel like invigorated after going for a walk in the wild in the countryside. And it's probably that, and that's how the magic got into the cities, other than the like few unicorns which were in the parks, of course. But
it's got tracked in.
It just got like, tracked into the bottom of someone's shoes, like the pets rolling around in it and bringing it back into the houses and just like spreading the unicorn magic all over the place. Of course, like the whole thing started going south with the outbreak of the Unicorn War, when it was like unicorns were getting scarcer and scarce, and it was like illegal hunting in the reserves. Times like during breeding season, like hunting was off, and then stocks got depleted, and that became a bit of a problem. So it turns out that the unicorn crisis is actually worse than it was predicted.
Isn't it always?
Which is really bad, because they said it would be the end of the world, and it's even worse.
Yeah. Well, how could it be worse? We, the reader, wonder.
Turns out that a little bit too magic is like it as we mentioned earlier, it's like it's dampening the naturally occurring magic. It's like the people who are born into their ability. Or more correctly, I mean, I guess people are still born into their ability, but nobody's encouraged to explore and develop it anymore because people are relying too much on just a little bit of unicorn juice. So we get this group of people who disavow the use of any of the unicorn juice and completely focus on their own ability.
And they wear their abstinence rings.
Yes, and they call themselves purists, and they purely practice. They're kind of like the Zen Buddhists of magic, I suppose. The counter movement, basically proving that magic can be done without the help of the unicorn solution.
Yeah.
And of course, they're scorned. There's they're just probably taking it on the sly, and they're just dosing up beforehand.
Yes, and you're a bunch of corporate bootlickers who are just repeating their slogans, which turns out, I mean, the truth does not care about political affiliation, just because
well, in reality, does have a liberal bias. And it turns out that, there seems to be a big youth movement that, the young people are scorning the idea of having to rely on the magic. And they're we have to preserve what we have. We have to rely on our own abilities. We have to go for sustainable unicorn farming. And
yes,
you get this,
yes.
And they get this slogan, which is basically, okay, Hoofer, which they use for...
Yes.
Commonly used against older people who are gobbling the unicorn solution without any regards of future sustainability.
And it is from the ruin of the Unicorn War, where, I mean, Captain Globe is frankly a terrorist. They wreak a lot of havoc, him and his team of essentially child soldiers.
Typically eco-terrorist, yes.
Yeah, where eventually from the ashes of this terrible conflict, the survivors of these rival environmentalist organizations, let me see what we have. We had Hornpiece and, yes, Captain Globe and the Rainbow Warriors.
Yes.
They sort of band together and re-examine their evidence, including, just as you pointed out, the lies of the unicorn-dependent corporations, while certainly self-interest, they can also be true. You can, a liar can say something that is accidentally true and
true.
So the solution the unicorn solution that they focus on in the end is that not only do we need to preserve more of these animals being alive creates more ambient magic and just makes learning magic naturally much more accessible to everyone.
Right. So there's a certain thing where they're trying to make it easier for unicorns, and they try to moving away from traditional iron horseshoes, moving into more of a carbon fiber solution. Of course, that backfires as well because it increases the carbon footprint.
Oh my god! Oh, yes.
So that's one of those fake solutions that the established industry has.
Yes, so with the increased carbon hoofprint, they settle on this two-pronged solution of, on the one hand, creating better conservatorship of the unicorns, and on the other hand, a more sustainable source of unicorn solution. And a two-pronged is kind of appropriate because this comes to a head when, I believe it's Sylvester Stallone and Gallant Fox. That seems like a nice pairing. The phlegmatic member of the globalists, through sheer chance, discover the bicorn. Just a little mutated animal, and it just has twice the number of horns. And through their research, they're able to determine that this creature, while it produces roughly the same amount of unicorn solution after it's boiled down, while it's alive, it produces twice the amount of a sort of ambient magical radiation.
Yes, it's a great thing.
And together, over many years, Sylvester Stallone and Gallant Fox, they become kind of a power couple in thaumaturgical science. They enlist the help of Spectacular Bid, the gismatic survivor, until they have finally completed, through their breeding program, the centicorn, which is not much to look at.
Well,
but you can farm these creatures and they produce a lot of ambient energy, and then you can boil them up and you get some solution. In the meantime, you've rid the world of a really horrifying animal, so you don't even feel guilty about throwing them in the giant pot and boiling them.
Very true. You're almost doing them a favor by killing them off. Their existence is torture, and they only live to provide ambient magic. And
yes,
exactly. I guess it is sustainable and ecological, but it's
exactly. So like the best compromises, it checks all the boxes, and it just everyone who agrees to it has a terrible nightmare.
It's kind of like the foie gras of magic, but it works.
And And thus the book closes. Yes, this is the Unicorn Solution is, of course, the third book in the Unicorn Saga.
Yes.
I believe after the Unicorn War and the Unicorn Peace. Hey, what are the odds that those are the actual names of the books?
Oh.
I mean, obviously we've all done research, but what are the odds that those are the actual names of the previous two books?
It's a bit of a unicorn dilemma, I guess. If we're going.
All in all, I thought it was quite a satisfactory resolution.
Yes, it's
resolution.
Yeah. If you precipitate it out and then mix it up again, and does that become that becomes a resolution?
It becomes a test of your resolve, I guess.
Well, there's that. But
like dissolve, resolve.
If you boiled off and you collect the precipitate and then you put it into whatever your solvent was, then you get a resolution.
And if you evaporate that, then you get a dissolution?
Well, a resolution.
No, that was
dissolution. No.
It's a different word.
Yeah.
It's a funny word joke.
Yes. Yes.
It's a funny word joke, okay? Have another sip of bookworm solution.
What do you dissolve the bookworms in?
Gelatin.
Wait, you can't dissolve some gelatin?
Maybe you can't, but try some more. So, okay, look at me. Two things. That was a funny word joke, whichever one I just said. Yeah, right. And I can totally dissolve shit in gelatin.
Yes.
Too. Okay.
Gelatin
we're
is
good?
dissolving. Yes,
3, 2,
we're
1,
fine.
And we're back.
Oh.
I do hope there's no long-term effects to...
To?
Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, nothing generally doesn't have long-term effects.
No, what doesn't have long-term?
Nothing doesn't have long-term effects.
Yes, exactly. Oh. How are we going to rate this book?
We can rate it unicorn out of bicorn, or we could rate it as a centicorn, I suppose.
Yeah, how many unicorns out of a centicorn are we going to...
You'd think, oh yes, well, I mean, traditionally there's 100 unicorns in a centicorn, or 50 bicorns in a centicorn.
Yeah.
So I would give it 3 score bicorns. No, wait.
That's too many.
That's too many. Sorry.
Backtrack. You can go the other way, but not...
No.
You can have 3 score unicorns.
And a bicorn? No, that's...
that's 61.
Yeah, 3 score unicorns and a bicorn, so that's 62.
That's 62.
A little bit too low.
Yeah,
let's give it more than that.
Yeah, let's up it up. So let's give it 3 score and 1 unicorn and 8 bicorns.
Yes, let's do that. That seems like a good out of a centicorn.
Out of a centicorn.
Nice, very nice.
Nice.
Yes, nice.
And speaking of reviews, please leave a review of our plucky little podcast on your service of choice, and do pick an episode you haven't listened to yet, and just imagine what it's all about. And you can also let us know what you thought of today's episode by checking us out on Cover My Ass Cast on Twitter, and we're going to keep mentioning it because, gosh, we do want to hear from some of you. This sounds passive aggressive, and.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. I can't even say it. Maybe when we do another werewolf episode, I'll say like and subscribe.
Oh.
So what do we have in store for our readers next week?
Yes. Next week's book is by Dixie Cash. I gave you my heart, but you sold it online.
A story for the ages, and that about covers it. Thank you for joining us at Cover My Ass, where baffling books are reviewed but not read by yours truly. My name is Khaki.
And I'm Kay. And remember, we only judge a book
by its cover. This actually looks quite good. I don't know. Maybe if I called it soup instead of tea, you would find it more to your... Would you like a spoon with it?
Yes, that'd be nice.
Okay, I'll get you...
Did you wash this?
Of course I washed it.
Okay, how do you wash soup?
Well, it is largely gelatin, so it doesn't...
Okay. Doesn't just...
What? Gelatin. Does gelatin dissolve in water?
It does. Slowly, but it does.
Drink some more. Gelatin does not dissolve in water.
Okay. Gelatin does not dissolve in water.
Thank you. And
okay,
3, 2, 1, and we're back.